purpose of this video is to get you familiar with your newly purchased RV. So what I will do is I will show you first the outside, and then I will show you the inside of your trailer. Now if you hit a spot on the video where you are not sure of something, don't worry about it. All you have to do is just back up the video a bit and watch it over again. So let's get started, and I hope you enjoy the walk around. Let's start with the folding steps. They can be folded in when you're ready for the road, but you have to remember that they need to be lubricated on a monthly basis, or else it could get seized. The other option you have is your solid step. The solid step is a nice feature since it allows you to step inside your RV without the RV bouncing around. But you have to remember that your RV has to be straight and level, and the door has to clear the steps, or else they will pinch on the bottom. You can adjust your leg by simply pulling the pin out and sliding the legs in and out. Now to the entrance door lock. The bottom lock is your deadbolt, the top one is just your regular lock, and they can get gummed up, so you want to lubricate them on a monthly basis. And now to the bug screen. There's not much to talk about it, but the only thing you might want to remember is just that it latches with the door when you open it, so you just have to unlatch it and close the bug screen. And again, you want to remember to keep that door wide open before bringing the step in. So to bring the step in, all you have to do is just raise it up, shake it a little bit to get rid of all the dirt on the steps, and push it right in and lock it in place. And so now all you have to do is just make sure the step is latched in place so that you can close the door properly. And here you can see the location of those adjusting pins I was talking about before. It's quite an easy adjustment. Okay, on we go. Before you go on any trip, you always want to make sure that you tighten your lug nuts to manufacturer specifications. Usually it would be around 100 foot-pounds. And also check the tire pressure. The tire pressure is usually specified at the information tag you find at the driver's side front corner of your RV. So here's the 120 volt power source. You can plug in whatever you like, a radio, a light, or a coffee maker. It's all up to you. It's just a handy thing to have there. And here's your fresh water fill. So you just stick a hose in there and you can fill your fresh water tank. Mind you, since you never know the quality of the water that comes from the source, I don't recommend you drink the water that comes from your fresh water tank. I would probably get some jugs and put them in the fridge. Besides, cold water does always taste better. So now here we have the TV cable connection. This is where you can connect the cable coming from your campsite or your outdoor satellite dish. The next item on the list would be the stabilizer jack. They are designed to keep your RV very steady when you walk inside, but they're not made to be lifting up the whole unit so you can change the tire. You always want to make sure before you go on a trip that those jacks are retracted, since they are easily missed when you do a walk around. You just don't want them to get damaged. Your RV requires some maintenance, and one of them is to check your seals. The manufacturer recommends that you check your seals 90 days after your purchase and then every 6 months. You want to check your windows, your moldings, your roof, and also your compartment doors. And always remember to check the tire pressure on your spare tire since it's easily forgotten. And here now we have the low point drains. You usually open them up to get rid of the excess water before we finish winterizing. You always want to make sure they're closed when you're pressurizing your water system. And next on the list would be the shore power. Some campsites can supply you with electricity. There are adapters available so that you can also plug into your own house. And here now we've got the outdoor shower. You can use it to rinse your shoes off or your feet after you come from the beach. You don't want to forget to winterize the outdoor shower. It's something that's easily missed. And here's the city water connection. Some campsites can supply you with direct water, electricity, and a sewer dump. So the water hose goes in here so you can get pressurized water from the city. But since you don't know the water pressure coming from the source, I recommend that you install a water pressure regulator so that your plumbing cannot get damaged. And now to the sewer flush. You will notice that it has the same fitting as the city water connection, so you want to make sure you don't get them confused. The purpose of the sewer flush is to clean your black water tank, so when you use it, you always have to make sure the black water valve stays open. And here now is your water heater. This is basically an access to service your water heater or to drain your water heater for winterizing purposes. You will notice that the Suburban water heater has 2 reset buttons in that black box that I just pointed out. In case your water heater stopped working, just press those 2 buttons and it might come back on again. If this doesn't work, then your water heater most likely will have to be serviced. So here's the drain plug, and you always want to depressurize the water system before you open the plug. You can do this by simply turning off the water pressure and opening all the taps and faucets. You will notice that the Suburban water heater has a steel plug that also acts as an anode rod. If they're slightly pitted, don't worry about it, they're still good. It's only when you start seeing the wire that they need to be replaced. Those water heaters can be very expensive. So when you start reaching freezing temperature, just make sure you always drain the water before it freezes inside the tank. And remember to relieve the water pressure before you take the plug out. Okay, enough of that, let's put it all back together now. So the next thing to talk about is the foam seals. They can dry out with the UV rays, so you might want to add some conditioner on them, and I think applying the conditioner before and after camping season will be sufficient. Seals also need to be kept clean so they can ensure a proper seal and keep the water out. The windowsill is supplied with a drain hole, so you want to keep that in mind when you pressure wash your trailer. You want to make sure also that they stay clean, and this will avoid any future leakage that you could have coming through the windows. Those 2 black rectangular panels you see are the fridge panels. Extreme hot weather, I recommend that those panels are facing north, since the fridge might have a hard time cooling at plus 30 and 35 degrees. Those are also access panels for servicing the fridge. When you pressure wash your RV, it's highly recommended that you shoot the water from the top down, or else you have water coming inside your RV. And here now we have the furnace exhaust. You want to make sure that you always stay clear of that exhaust because it gets pretty hot. And obstructing the exhaust will also cause some malfunction. Some RVs do come with multiple sewer fittings. It all depends on the design of the RV. So let's start talking about the business side of the RV, the sewer. So you will notice you have a gray water and a black water valve. So before draining the tank, you always want to make sure you have at least 50% of water inside your black water tank. So that way, when it drains, it will come out nice and fluid. So you always want to open the black water valve first and then the gray water. So that way the gray water can clean your sewer hose. Okay, so let's have a look at what's up front. So right in the corner you will see that information tag I was talking about, which tells you the tire pressure and all the other information you need to know. And here's your propane. It'll come with a regulator. That regulator has a lever that indicates from what cylinder it takes information from. If it shows red, that means that that cylinder is empty. When cylinder is empty, it would automatically switch over to the other one. All metal cylinders have an expiration date 10 years after the production date. And after 10 years, that cylinder has to be recertified or replaced. Most electric tongue jacks usually come with a light and retract and extend button. They have a fuse in case your jack stops working. Just check the fuse out, see if it's blown. And on the top of the jack, there's usually a manual override. First, remove the rubber plug, and then insert the crank. And from then on, all you have to do is just crank it to the desired position. And here now is a 7-way plug. This plug is designed to supply power to your trailer and activate all the indication lights you need during the road travel. And the next thing is the breakaway cable. The job of the breakaway cable is to apply the brakes in case of the unlikely moment that your trailer has disconnected itself from your tow vehicle. You always have to make sure that the battery is fully charged on your trailer, or else the breakaway cable would not work. One of the common mistakes of RV travelers is that when they come back home, they don't recharge the battery completely. If you don't do so, then they could create a salvation in your batteries and they could fail prematurely. Always charge your batteries for at least 2 days from the time you come back, so that way they are fully charged. Okay, so now let's talk about the awnings. Most awnings now have manual override. I'll just use a power drill with a 7/16 socket, and that way you can retract your awning in case it's stuck out. Okay, the next one on mine would be the lend-a-hand hand support. That's right next to the entrance door. So for it to tug in, all you have to do is just lift it up and fold it over. So here again, just lift it up on the bottom and then just fold it over. So this here is a Dometic thermostat, which is a liquid crystal display. And on the left side you got the mode buttons, which selects the fan function, the cool function, and the heat function. So all you really have to do is just touch the button and the functions will display themselves on that blue screen. Just keep applying it and then you can see the different functions it will show. It's a little cold right now, so that's why the screen is not displaying as crisp as it usually does. On the right side you have the up and down arrows that will select either the fan speed or the temperature based on what function you chose. So in the fan mode you have the fan speeds, and you can choose high, low, or auto. In heat and cool mode, then like I mentioned before, it will select the temperature you desire. And here now is your stove. Sometimes you have to push in your knobs to turn them to the desired temperature. So if you just filled your propane or you're a first time user, I strongly recommend that you use a lighter to light up the burner. And that way it will get rid of all the air pockets you might have in the system. After that you can use your igniter to turn on your stove. Not all stoves are equipped with an igniter, but if they are, then they're usually located on the left side. And all you have to do is just turn that knob clockwise and it will create some sparks to light up the burners. To turn the oven on, press in the knob and turn it counterclockwise. You want to bring it to the pilot setting and then push in the knob. That knob needs to stay pressed in while you're lighting the pilot. So now we're going to the oven. And you'll notice that the pilot is located right there next to the burner. So while the oven knob is still pushed in, we just apply the lighter to the pilot flame. And after the pilot has lit, you keep that knob pushed in for another 30 seconds. So that way the thermocouple will warm up and keep that pilot on. Then what you do is you just bring that knob to the desired temperature. It is recommended to put an oven thermometer inside the oven. So here's your fuse panel. What you have to do is just push in the door and then it'll come open. So on the left side you have your breakers and on the right side you have your fuses. Usually they're all indicated. In case you have 120 volt items don't work, like example given your air conditioner, your microwave, or your receptacles, then you want to check the breakers on the left side. So in case any 12-volt items don't work, example given, your lights, your radio, or your receptacles for 12 volt, and you want to check your fuses. If your receptacles don't work, then you might want to check your GFI plug. It's usually located anywhere near water, so like the washroom or the kitchen. So you can check the reset button, which is usually located on the bottom, and there's a test button on the top. Some GFI receptacles have a LED light on them, so if that light is on, that means the GFI is functional. If it's off, then it's not working. If any fuses or breakers pop frequently, then your RV needs to be serviced. So here we have now the monitor panel with the water pump. It is recommended to only leave the water pump on when you need it, and any other time just shut it off, so that way you can avoid any unnecessary water leaks. And here's your propane water heater. You can use it when you're going dry camping or when running a generator. That way it will reduce the load on the generator. And here now is the electric water heater. You want to make sure that your tank is always full of water, or else you can burn a heating element. You can use this water heater when you have 120 volt power. The monitor panel will show you all the water levels and the battery conditions. And some monitor panels even have a propane detector that will let you know the level of propane. Okay, well, let's get down to the least anticipated moment, the toilet. Some toilets come with a hand lever, and others they come with a foot pedal. Always want to make sure that you use a lot of water to flush the toilet, so that way it keeps all the stuff in the black tank fluid, and that will make it easier for you to drain the tanks. To do so is what you do is you just partially activate the lever or the foot pedal, and the valve will stay closed, but the toilet will fill itself with water. And then you dump the water. And here now we have the roof vent. It was always recommended to leave the vent open so that you can eliminate all condensation. And it's a good idea to get one of those vent covers, so that way you can keep it open while it's raining or while driving. All RVs come with an emergency exit. It's recommended to get familiar with them before you go on a trip. For a refrigerator to work properly, you have to make sure that your RV is very level. So here you have the on and off switch. And here you have the mode button. It chooses between 120 volt power or propane. With the LED off, it's on propane mode, and it will strictly run on propane, not electricity. When you're in auto and you plug it in, it will automatically go to 120 volts, and when you unplug your trailer, then it will go to propane. Your fridge comes with the check light, and if that comes on, then you could be just simply in the lockout, and all you would have to do is just turn the fridge off and turn it back on. The other reason would be that you ran out of propane and you have to refill your cylinder. So if your cylinder is full and you have kept trying to turn it back on and that check light stays on, then your refrigerator needs to be serviced. This would be your temperature sensor. And you can control your temperature of your fridge by just sliding it up or sliding it back down. Sliding it up reduces the temperature, and sliding it down increases the temperature. When using the stove, you always want to use the fan above the stove to get rid of all the hot air and the bad smells and the condensation. Before using the fan, You always want to make sure that the flap on the stove vent outside is unlocked, and the locks are usually located on the bottom of the vent. And here we have the awning control button. So they are spring loaded, so it's normal for them to come in slower than when they're going out. And here's the slide out switch. You just want to make sure that before using it that your RV is all clear around it, so that you don't damage anything. And this same goes with the awning. And here's your dinette table. You can convert your dinette into a bed. All you have to do is just wiggle the table side to side and gently lift the table while still wiggling. And then remove those legs, store them somewhere, and place the table on top of those lips, and then put the mattress over the table. I recommend that you don't stand on the table and you don't lie on it while the mattress is not on. And this now concludes the orientation video. I strongly recommend that you read all the owner's manuals supplied with the RV.